Baby boomer retirements doubled in year 2020 over what took place in 2019. That is another historic event. That is another historic opportunity for you. Let's talk about how to capitalize on that.
This is The Rare Advisor, proud to be a part of the Advisor Advancement Network and home of a business model supercharged by recurring and repeatable events. Your host is Mike Walters, CEO of USA Financial. He is an investment advisor representative of and securities are offered through USA Financial Securities, member FINRA SIPC, a registered investment advisor.
The most amazing stat I have heard this entire year. Baby boomer retirements doubled in the year 2020 over what took place in 2019. Think about that. The baby boomers are the largest retiring group of people we have ever seen in the history of the world. And now, part and parcel, thanks to the pandemic, over double the normal amount retired in 2020 than had previously in the year 2019. There's a really interesting article in Investment News, October 25th, 2021. It's titled Early Retirement Surging as a Result of COVID. Research finds. Early retirement surging as a result of COVID, research finds. That's the title of the article. You're going to want to go look that up. But what's really, really interesting is that as Pew Research has showed us, in the year 2020, the retiring baby boomers were 3.2 million. In the year 2019, 1.5 million. It over doubled. An estimated 5.25 million people left the workforce during COVID-19, during the whole pandemic. And of that, about 3 million. Now, this is a different stat, although the numbers sound similar, so listen closely. Estimated 5.25 million people exited the workforce because of COVID-19 pandemic. Of that 5.25 million exiting the workforce, 3 million of them, 57% of them, appear that they actually retired earlier than they planned. And then on top of that, just the baby boomers in general doubled in terms of what their retirement rate was in 2020 versus 2019. So now think about this. If you haven't been listening to The Rare Advisor, go back to some previous conversations. By the way, please subscribe. Please give us a thumbs up. We're putting this content out all the time. I want to make sure I'm on track for you, that this is valuable. So let me know that by subscribing. That would be super helpful. Commercial over. Looking back at the data, what I had shared with you numerous times before is there was pent-up demand because of the pandemic. As the lockdowns occurred, unfortunately, a large percentage of financial advisors dropped the ball during the pandemic. They did not properly stay in communication with their clientele. They did not properly convert their practice to a digital mechanism that worked easily and seamlessly and took advantage of the fact that grandparents were learning how to use Zoom to stay in touch with the grandkids. And guess what? Now they can use that same technology to stay in touch with you, the financial advisor. A lot of advisors were not converting their live face-to-face experiences, their live events, to digital face-to-face experiences and digital events. And because of that, a lot of the customers felt like they were simply getting ignored. They'd feel like their advisor was on vacation. They were hunkered down and they were not hearing from them. And then when they would compare that to a friend or a family member who was getting high quality service, the type of stuff I just mentioned, by converting and staying in tune with what needed to be done to take care of your clients during the pandemic, they suddenly realized there was this void and they didn't like the fact that they were stuck in that void. But at the same time, it was kind of tough to go find a new anything during the pandemic, especially something like professional services, like a financial advisor. So there was this pent-up demand, and we started to see as the world unclamped, our live events thrived. Now, again, it's geographically based. Some parts of the world in the country aren't that open yet. Others are. So it depends on where you live. But if you're in an area that's opening up, what we're seeing is the numbers were immediately back to where they were pre-pandemic. Some were even higher. The appointment ratios were as high or higher, but the closing ratios were definitely or are definitely higher. What I believe that tells you is that the people who are coming out to find advisors right now are more serious than ever before. That's the pent-up demand. What we didn't have a good pulse on that we now just got, thanks to this Pew research and as being reported in investment news, is that there are more retirements taking place today than ever before. 2020 doubled 2019 for baby boomer retirements. That's unbelievably significant. And if you're not embracing that, if you're not geared up in your practice to take advantage of that, you're missing a historic opportunity. Because when historic things take place, historic results occur. And that's what's happening right now. The pandemic has not been fun by any stretch of the imagination. It's been devastating to many people, to many families, but it's also been very lucrative for certain businesses. In the financial world, what I'll tell you is that that historic event has created a new historic pent-up demand and a new historic rush toward retirement. Both things point to you, the financial advisor, because as we know, people seek out financial advice when they're rapidly approaching retirement and or when they first enter retirement. Prime time to be in front of people. So if you don't know how to get introductions rather than referrals, if you don't know how to run live events digitally, if you are coming up short in some of these areas, it's going to cost you right now because that's how people are finding their new advisors. As all of these new baby boomers are retiring, they're relying on introductions, not referrals, introductions. There's a significant difference between an introduction and a referral. Again, go check previous rare discussions on this. But we can help you. We can coach you. Our protocol group here at USA Financial, that's what they do. And they helped many advisors thrive during the pandemic. And now they're just on this like rocket ship coming off of the pandemic. And it's because a lot of these demographics are in your favor right now. All these historic things that have occurred are starting to turn in your favor in terms of running your practice. And you've advanced things, right? You've digitized. You've got a lot of new tools at your fingertips. So it's a crazy cool time to be a financial advisor right now. And people need you. They need you more than ever before. There's been a lot of tough times during the pandemic. That's when people need you. There's been a lot of retirements during the pandemic. That's when people need you. There's been a lot of poor service from other financial advisors during the pandemic. That's when people need you. There's been a lot of advisors who have not kept up with current times. They haven't embraced using Zoom meetings and MS Teams calls. They haven't converted their experience to a digital platform so that they could run it in parallel with their face-to-face or their in-person platform. These are things that you can take advantage of in terms of professional contrast between you and the other financial advisors in your area. And this is how people are thriving in this new environment. Again, we're looking at 3.2 million boomers retiring in 2020. I've heard that number is expected to be as high or potentially higher in 2021. That'll yet to be seen, but we know there was a huge increase, a doubling that took place from 2019 to 2020, and that is indicative. Wow, I'm having a hard time talking today. Sorry about that. That is indicative of many greater things going on beneath the current. Keep your eyes open. Keep your ears open. Think about how these things string together, and you'll see it's an amazing, amazing time to be a financial advisor.